If you don't know Marley, you can get to know him through the Nature Journal show. And he's just a wonderful, enthusiastic thought leader in our community. In honor of Marley's birthday, I am going to be going out today with my journal and a trash bag. And I'm going to get my sketch on, and I'm going to bring a big trash bag along with me. And I am going to leave the place that I have been exploring better than when I got there. And I want to encourage everybody else to do that as well. This is an idea that Avea started us on, and has now become kind of a tradition, way of kind of honoring each other in the earth on birthdays. And so it's an excuse to get yourself out there. But try it and just sort of notice when you're out there with your journal and you're doing your journal thing, and then pick up trash. How does that change the way you feel in relation to the place that you are? What is your relationship to this place? Because by paying attention in your journal, you're building a relationship. And how does that relationship change if you leave with a sack of trash? And you may find that this changes the way you relate to wild places. So I just want to encourage people to try that as an experiment, and just be, but to be really mindful of the impact of that act of intentional stewardship on your connection with that place. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. And again, I want to, and that idea of the trash pickup, that came from you, Avea. So thank you for starting this community in that direction.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody who's joined in and become part of this tradition now. Looking at you, Ann Chadwick, and all of you, just thank you. Thank you, all of you.
That's right. All right, everybody. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing with bird behaviors and thinking of birds not as this kind of static thing, but as a dynamic bundle of life and energy. And we're going to be doing some quick sketches and poses of bird behaviors. And so what I want to do is I'm going to first break down. So this is not going to be doing kind of a deep dive in, like, here's the feathers that cover the bird's ear. No, we're going to be trying to get down just little posture thumbnails that are going to help you tell the stories of the interactions between the birds that you see. And so the goal here is the shape of the bird, and not so much having to be sort of in detail land. I'm going to recommend that the best tool for this is a fairly dull pencil. So something that doesn't have a really, really sharp point. And the reason for that is that sometimes when you have a very sharp pencil, our brain, and you put down a fine line, that little fine line, there's more pressure for that line to be in the right place. If you've got a thick line, you're sort of like, let's say where the bird is, its edge is right here. So if you're drawing over that and you have a thick line, you can cover that with, you can be a little bit more fast and even sloppy with your lines. And the line has more, it feels less just hyper precise. And we want to kind of get our brains out of that sort of super precision mode. I need my pad of paper. Hold on a sec. So I'm going to first just make a couple of bird. There was a scrub jay that was outside my window here a moment ago. And so I'm just going to turn on my document camera, and I'm going to make a couple of fast scrub jay sketches. And those will, and we're going to take a look at then kind of, I'm going to break down how I am going about those, what I'm thinking about when I'm doing it. And then also the, and then we'll put up some photographs of birds, and we'll have a chance to do some just super fast kind of get the oomph down. So one thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making some of these drawings as smaller sketches. If I go too small, I'm so small that I can't really get the information in there. If I go too large, there's a lot of bird to cover. So I can quickly make a small shape and kind of, right, that part's filled in. If I make my bird really big, these fast sketches are going to be slower. So here we go. Let's jump over to the thrill cam. There it is. And let me just sort of first show you kind of what some of these kinds of sketches look like. All right, so what I've been doing is I have been, zoom down a little bit. All right, I have been making just fast gesture drawings of several poses of the jay. And the birds are incredibly plastic. If you're looking at a bird in its form, its ability to puff itself out or to stick its head up, they're very, very movable. Underneath the hood, there's a little body that is attached to an S-shaped neck. And so this neck can come up. That neck can come down. The body feathers can be sleeked down, or the body feathers can be fluffed up, dramatically changing the shape of the bird. And so as it's moving around, I want to try to kind of capture with a few lines the basics of that pose. later on, I can come across these and refine them more. It's going to be up. But this is kind of the most essential part of this drawing actually was at the start when I was getting that little posture sketch, that little kind of quick, there's my bird. So my approach to doing it, what I generally do is I start with just a line along the back of the bird. Sometimes that is, the bird may have its head up, the bird may have its head down. This one has its head down, so it's just a straight line there. And I kind of create the sort of the front end, the back and the front end of the bird. So starting with the back, then kind of putting in a head. My initial, when I'm blocking in heads, for the eye and the beak and all that sort of stuff, I draw a line that gives me the direction that my bird is looking. My eye and my beak, they're going to line up on that line. That one line gets a lot of information. The tails can be held up, the tails can be held down. I'll kind of get that tail angle. I pay attention to sort of whether the wing is drooping or whether the wing is tucked up high. This one's going to be tail down, droopy. And I'm doing this with my graphite pencil here. You can also do this with a light value colored pencil. So all these kind of initial lines can also be done with a light colored pencil. That then allows you to later on go over those with a different pencil. So here I'm picking up my graphite pencil again. And you can then come in and draw slowly over those. And because one is a heavier line, that's the dark, and is more kind of careful and deliberate, people's eyes will go right to the dark one, and they will ignore all of the light So you can make these sort of in kind of quick gesture sketches with your kind of light pencil. And that ends up looking a lot cleaner than something like that, right? Because on this one here, you can really, all those kind of graphite lines in the middle are also very distracting. If my bird is done in a 3/4 view like this one is, notice that one of the lines I have is one that goes down the middle of its belly. And sometimes I can even put in some little wraparound lines just to help me kind of think of that as so let's say here's another bird. I'm just trying to kind of get it kind of blocked in. If its tummy is pointing towards me, I'll often just sort of put in lightly a little center line for it. And these little curved lines that are wrap around here help me continue to think of my bird as a three-dimensional thing. I would then be able to draw on top of those. Again, because I've done this with the, I did that initial drawing with the light colored pencil, it just feels much cleaner. And sort of easy to read. So here I've got a lot of stuff underneath it. But if this sort of idea of switching pencils feels confusing, or you just don't have that, then you can just go a little bit more lightly at the start with your regular graphite pencil. This is really useful if you're, say you've got a bunch of birds under the feeder kind of hopping around in the snow, and you're seeing a bunch of different angles. So there's a bunch of juncos down there, and you want to get this sense of this group of juncos. So here I might have a J, and I'm looking at a bunch of different postures of it. And then, you know, these are postures of the J. But if you're looking at a flock, none of the individuals in that flock are going to hold still for you. And so let's turn some of these into a little flock. So when let's say the birds are just hopping all around in this little flock. That means they're not really holding any one pose for any long period of time. So I'm not going to be able to draw one bird and then move on to the next bird and move on to the next bird. So I will a great way of kind of simplifying it for yourself is to squint at the bird and try to just look at its basic, squint at the bird, and I'm just looking at its basic shape. So here's a little, I'm looking at the back of the bird. I can sort of see it's a ball with a little flat top sticking out of it. There's some tail sticking towards me, and somewhere up there, there's some wing-like things, and I can't really tell what's going on. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another bird, and let's say this one has its tail up and in its head, and head up at a slight angle. So I'll often kind of just do it like, here's the angle along my back of my bird. But what I do is I put it kind of adjacent to this one. And now I have these two birds kind of hopping around together. But then there's another one. And I'm going to draw that one actually even overlapping this bird here. And there's that bird. Over here, there's another little bird. This one tail is straight. And I'm going to go for one more bird. I'm going to put this one up in here, and this one is going to be looking in this direction. Its back and its head are all on the same level, and its tail then sticks out. So there's the line of the back, and its head is kind of looking down, and then there's the angle on its tummy. All right, then I give it a body. So if I get several birds all hopping around together, and especially if some of them overlap, it feels like these aren't just one drawing of a bird, another drawing of a bird, another drawing of a bird, but these are all little birdies in a flock. And then I can draw over these. I was just doing some sketches of juncos the other day. It's good to get comfortable with a bird that is common. So for me, juncos are kind of my index bird. I get good at drawing juncos so that then when I see another bird, it will feel like I can look at its proportions and say like, oh wow, you are much bigger headed than a junco. And so I've got kind of a reference point. Juncos are nice because there's just this kind of three value bird that you can create. They have kind of a mid-tone on their back. They have a lighter tummy. And then they've got these wonderful outer tail feathers that are white. Here we're seeing this back side of this junco. Here, this little junco that's got its back to me just gets a dark head. Its wings and tail. All right, so notice for the wings here, I'm just putting a little dark smudge in here and a dark smudge in here, a little bit darker along the leading edge of that wing, and not getting kind of wrapped around the axle about the details of that wing, just looking at the value. And then one more junco over on the side. So kind of speed juncos. Dark back, eye-colored tail. Now, right now, these birds, my little flock here, they are kind of floating around in the ether. But look at how this all kind of comes together as a little flock of birds. If, let's say these are on the snow under the feeder, there are some seeds there. So that means that they are casting shadows on the snow. So I give them just a little bit of the shadows, just ground them. And now they're standing in a place. And there's some few other seeds here. A few little lines. I don't want lines going this way. I want any lines that are on this ground surface just to be this way. And that makes this ground feel like it's a flat plane. There's another seed out there for that one. Well, let's feed this guy. So then all of a sudden you're telling a story about these little characters. And So there's just a fast little gesture drawing. But if I overlap several of them together, then all of a sudden I've got a flock of juncos that are feeding in the snow below my feeder. And how can you tell that this is snow? Because if you watch this, if you want this really to look like snow, you write juncos in the snow below the feeder. And that's the power of suggestion, folks. People see that and then they go like, oh, snow. Right. So you can use your words to help people see what you want them to see. Just because it's fun, I'm going to add a little bit of color to this. So I'm going to back up here so you can kind of see this process. I've got my lucky sock. I'm going to start just with some shadows in the snow. So I'm going to get some blue paint. Whoa, not that color of blue. And then a little bit darker brown on the back. Whoops. Go here. And finally, I'm going to get some dark on their heads. Using a water brush here that allows me to really quickly get down blocks of color and change my colors quickly. I love painting with a water brush. And there are, let's see if I can turn this light on. That doesn't really help that much. So yeah, there are some happy little juncos doing their thing. But I get this sort of sense of this flock bustling around, doing different sorts of things. So what I want to intentionally do is get birds different directions, different poses, and I can bounce around between different birds. Then by intentionally overlapping those, presto, I've got a flock. Let's now bounce over to, I'm going to go to a website and hold on a second. Let me do a screen share. I am going to take you folks over to, actually, no, we don't want a screen share. I'm going to be all Melinda Nakagawa with you folks and get a split screen effect going. All right, I am now going to share my desktop with you. And I am going to turn that off. I'm going to turn off this. And there we go. All right. So on the left here, this is birdpixel.com. And it is one of my favorite go-to sites for one of my favorite go-to sites for getting photographs of birds. I'm going to do a search in here. By the way, the photographer has given us, Vivek Kanzode has given us permission to use these as reference for all of our sketches and drawings. Let's type in magpie. Right, and there's the yellow-billed magpie, really crazy, cool, expressive bird. I'm going to just tap on one of these, and that will take me to the magpie section. If I cancel out of that, I get to see all of these different magpie poses. All right, so this is just absolute gold. So I'm going to put a photograph up. And what I want everybody to do is, first, let's start by, look at the resolution of that. Whoops, let's come back. Just high res, beautiful. Thank you. That's great resource right there. So here's the bird. What we want to do is we want to kind of do a quick sketch of this. So that means you're not going to get lost in the details around the eye there. Everybody take a look at the back of the bird. You see this swoop here? Pet the bird. So pet the bird in the air. What we're going to do is we're going to quickly, let's say there's a group of magpies that are on the ground, and one has a posture like that. I'm gonna start just like that with a little, whoops, we'll come this way, a little swoop, and then my little magpie has a head, and I look at what is the shape of the air in front of its tummy here, and then I've got a place where I can put in my ball, put in my tail, and my bird has legs. So that's what I might get for my initial kind of quick sketch. This bird is moving around. If I'm doing anything fussier, that is going to really slow me down. And but now let's say there's another one that comes up and it does this cool kind of up pop with its tail. Let's see if we've got version with the tail up. Do we have a tail up? No, we don't. Oh, then we might have to, we're just going to try this. We're going to do seeing birds. Ashok Khosela's website here. Amazing site for bird resources. Let's type in magpie and see what we get. There's the yellow-billed. This one, some of them have just sort of variation in their plumage where they have unusual amounts of yellow on their face. Do we have any with the tail up here? Let's magpie. We'll check out his black-billed magpies. Or the Eurasian magpie. All right. Well, I'm not getting what I needed. Alas. Magpie. Let's go back to this one. Are there any magpies out here? if I close out of this, I get to all the different magpie pins. All right, well, let's go for this one here. We're going to put this one right here in front of our friend. So let's say that one is kind of walking around, it's got its head up. There's another one down here with its head down. I'd start that just by, here's the back of my bird, and I'm going to try to get this sketch to be roughly the same size as that other one. And if anything, it can err on being slightly larger because it's closer to me, but I don't want it to be smaller. And then it's got a beak that is sticking out here, very kind of deep chest here, long body, and its tail. So good, I've got overlap going on. I can think to myself, where is its wing is going to be coming in here. Maybe I want that higher. It's going to have a dark part in the front. You can block in a few little pieces of color. And I'm just going to, from imagination, do this other one here. And this one had its tail up. I wonder what kind of signaling. There's going to be all sorts of crazy signaling that goes on with those tail postures. At one point, I was thinking that would have been a really kind of fun. I was doing my master's. That would have been a fun project to do. And once I've got several on the page, I can then start to kind of draw into them. Let's take advantage of this one here since it's already up. And I'm going to keep it simple here. So my back, there's going to be a little angle for the head and then a lump for my back. Its chest comes down, it comes back, and then you get into the white of that back. Big black undertail coverts. And for the wing detail here, I'm just going to draw in this little white wedge for the scapulas. Because I did this one first, this next one is a little bit easier to do. Let's come here. This next one, I'm going to stop drawing it when it kind of overlaps this other bird. I want them to sort of feel like they're in the same place. Like wedge up in here. Because I have a fairly dull pencil, look at how quickly it creates an area of tone. Then um, what I really recommend people do is sort of the approach of what I call show and tell. The idea of show and tell is that if you observe something that you think is interesting, show it in your journal page, but also um, tell about it. The I want to want to reinforce whatever kind of neat natural history lessons I make. Um, by showing that with my pictures and my words. Actually, I want this one's legs come out here. Um, so let's say I'm kind of looking at the behaviors of these three little magpie gestures here together. I can say low comes in a low crouch, head high. Um, so let's say these two birds are hanging out. This bird flies in, pops its tail up. So I'm gonna write new bird flies in, tail up, head up. And in response, this one has its head up too, and this one it kind of gets into the crouch. And the I'm going to write, here's step one. And then step two is response. One bird pops head up. One bird, let's call this one number one, or no, A. So A and B. B goes into crouch. Is a dominant. Who is male and female? So I can use these as, notice that when I start annotating it, the full story of what I'm seeing can come alive in a much richer way. And that's really, really effective, that's powerful. You can think of yourself as doing storytelling with your storytelling with these sketchbooks. By putting the note in, all of a sudden, I have I'm able to describe that interaction in make the story much more interesting. Now you notice for the shading in these birds, I just used hatching that is all one direction. The reason that I did it, and the reason I did this is because I'm right-handed. It's easy for me to do that. Boom, there's an area of tone. So you might, if you're a lefty, your kind of quick lines will probably go the other way. But it is it's useful to kind of have a little shorthand like that for filling an area of tone. The more you get a sort of broad, dull pencil, the more you can just fill in an area of tone really quickly. And there is a few thoughts about getting I think I want this head to be. I'm going to put a really dark in here, and that will then pop up as a shadow. I'll make these yellow-billed magpies just to put us in California. Let that dry. My goal here is not so much to be getting lost in little details. I want to represent big chunks of the bird, but I also want to capture these postures. The postures tell a story. And the birds are giving you all sorts of clues that if we start thinking as an ethologist, somebody who's geeking out on bird behavior, then there's just a whole other level of nuance in what we can observe. So I want to invite you to play with bird body language. Your birds are sending you all sorts of signals about how they're feeling, what's going on in bird town. And if all we're doing is just going like, it's a magpie. I mean, that's great. I mean, identifying things is cool. I mean, I write field guides, right? I have nothing against identifying things. But if you can get into part of the story, it's going to be really fun. So Sarah Byfield, this one was for you. And I hope that this was also enjoyable for everybody else. Oh, sorry, vultures. We didn't get into preening poses. Those are challenging and fun. But something actually, just sort of a footnote. So vultures, something to study is as you're looking at preening birds, pay attention to where they preen first, because very often there'll be a sequence that they do, and there are typical preening poses that you can expect to see across all these different species. And so it's not just like you're crazy putting your beak everywhere. You know, there's going to be, sometimes they're really kind of stereotypic postures that you're going to see in preening, like getting your head over into your oil gland. And then, so that is, that's a really fun thing to look at. The person who I think is the master of doing this is our John Busby. And so let me see. Let's bounce over to the gallery view. I'm going to see if anybody has any comments, questions, thoughts, or ideas about this. I would love to hear what you are thinking. I'm going to start with Walters. Let's add you into the spotlight here. Walters, it's good to see you. We're going to allow you to unmute, and you're good.
Hi, yes. Well, you just mentioned about the preening kind of positions, and I was out like 2 days ago, and there was this, what was it called? Well, I know what it's called in Spanish.
Is this a plover?
Yes, it's a plover. It's kind of it's chorlito gris. But, it's yeah, it's like a golden plover, but the other species, but it's very similar. Very similar.
The thing that is really great that you captured on this plover stance is that the plover has this really broad stance, and you totally captured that plover stance on this. There's this, they're not doing the sort of little kind of thread waisted legs together thing. They're just, you feel like they're just kind of hunky and out there. Yeah, exactly. And you totally nailed that on this plover.
Yeah. Oh, but you were talking about the preening poses. I actually have written here a couple of steps, so numbered.
Check you out. Yeah. Tell us.
And this one is for the plover, and this one is I think it's another kind of plover, but it's a bit of a smaller one, kind of like a semi-palmated plover is. Semi-palmated.
Yeah, semi-palmated.
Yeah, it's similar to it. That species was a bit different name, but yeah, it's similar to it. So here I have the steps. The big plover did 8 steps, and in the end, it repeated if needed some of the steps.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, repeat. And this one did 7 steps, as I observed. And so the plover first, he got a good scratch. Then there was a bath in the nearby kind of puddle. Then he moved to his breast feathers. After he has cleared those, he moves to his back. Then comes his tail. Then he kind of puts his beak under his wings and cleans under there. Then he just kind of gives a big old stretch and kind of goes, I don't know, shakes out and repeats some steps if needed.
This is so cool.
And the other bird, first he does the bath. He doesn't kind of scratch himself. He first does the bath, then he stretches out his wings and shakes them. Then comes the breast, then comes like under the wing, then comes another stretch and another shake, then comes the tail and another shake.
Yeah, this is so exciting. This is so cool.
I did one step here, but it was just doing all this so fast that I thought, okay, words will be better this time. Words will be better. So this was for the plover. And also one thing I observed was the bird that's similar to the golden plover. When he was preening all the time, his primaries were going, they were kind of shuffling like scissors, going one over another. So this one was up A, then this B, C, D, E, F,
Oh,
H.
which one was, so the two wings are like this and it's going like this?
Yeah, the two wings are like that, and they were all the time going like this.
I've never noticed that.
Yeah, they were, and the second thing it was doing that, kind of shuffling its wings, and kind of like the shoulders were all, he was always kind of, flattering them, I don't know, and in the meantime shuffling the primaries. So don't know why.
Oh,
But it was
see,
very interesting to see, but I don't, and you can see it very, very clearly, not like for one moment just going like that. He was all the time going like this.
I wonder what is behind that. That's a great kind of, so the things to do, like when you kind of are onto a mystery like this, is one is to look for the next time we see this behavior. So actually everybody in this group. So here's the challenge I have for everybody. Let's pay attention. Can we find times, pay attention around when we're looking at birds that are preening and not preening. Are we seeing this behavior with the wings? We should name it something. What is this? Is this wing shuffling?
We have to think of a nice name.
We got to come up with a cool name for that.
Yeah, I like cha-cha.
Cha-cha. The two-wing Monty.
Monty.
Yeah, so we want to see if we can spot this behavior on other birds. So everybody's watching this. Let's have this on our radar as we're just kind of going around in the marsh. If you see birds, normally you'd say, oh, bird's moving its wings. But now what we're going to be doing is like, is it doing? Is it
Yeah,
doing
but
cha-cha,
it was doing
right?
it while it was preening. So it
Okay,
was.
so while it's preening. So let's actually.
Yeah.
What birds do we start? So do we see this on some birds and not on others? Right.
Yeah.
Well, this was on a plover that you saw the cha-cha.
Yeah, I found it was a gray plover.
A gray plover. Okay.
It's a gray plover.
So
Very
that's similar to our black-bellied.
That's similar. I don't know
Similar
if
to
you
the
have
golden.
like a golden plover, but the American golden plover is similar. Yep.
So we're going to look for it. Do we see this in other plovers? Do we see this in non-plovers? Can we see plovers preening and not doing the cha-cha? Right. So what we've done here is Walter's made an observation that's cool, and then by highlighting that and really focusing on it, it allows us then to look for that same behavior. Is it repeated? Is this a stereotyped part of the preening behavior? Do we see this in other species? And we still have this right now. We're not even kind of venturing on the why is it doing this, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to flesh out, like, is there, like, what is the pattern here? What's going on? We don't know why, but if we can figure out more about where this is happening, when this is happening, and what species this is happening, that will give us time to start thinking about what might, sort of why this might happen. That's super cool. That's really cool.
It's similar also to a Pacific golden plover.
All right, we have those along the Pacific coast here. So
yeah,
that's one of our migratory rascals.
Yeah, maybe it was like a one-time something that the bird even doesn't know what it was doing, but maybe not. So,
let's see if we can bring on Patty Wainwright, if you feel comfortable doing so, Patty, who just says that she's seen a similar behavior on eiders. Let's see. I don't see. Let's see if you turn on your camera, if you feel comfortable doing that, then it's easier for me to spot you. But otherwise, I will. Oh, there you are. Thank you for waving. I'm going to add you to the spotlight and then allow you to unmute. And we'd love to hear. See, now you can unmute.
Yes, I see common eiders sitting on rocks in the sun resting. And the back of their primary is kind of,
That's cool. Were on the eiders, were they crossing over? On the eiders, were they crossing over?
yes, just about crossing.
Cool.
And their wings kind of shuffle.
Yeah. Yeah, the same here. It was kind of moving. It's like getting some air under its wings, and in the meantime, it wasn't just lifting its kind of primaries, but they were stationary and going like that, one and over each other.
So by the way, everybody, while we're doing this, just to kind of loosen up your shoulders, everybody do a little bit of cha-cha, right? All right. Kind of cross your wings over a little bit, kind of gets your blood circulating also. Preen. Oh, and one of my favorite things is when the bird does that stretch with its wing and sticks out a leg at the same time. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That's cool. And there's sometimes let's see, like sometimes you've got in some species, I forget the details of who does what, but somebody was saying that somebody actually kind of got onto, like, some species they actually do a leg under the wing stretch, and others actually do a leg over the wing stretch. We should geek out on that a little bit. And
I haven't observed that, but yeah, Wimbrels do a lot of kind of but they, I think, do like foot under the wing stretch and just go like. But yeah, haven't seen. But on today's note on capturing poses, I was on preening. That's why I was asking. This morning, a sand plover was in. I will try to do as many as I could in this one, that one, and that one.
Yeah. Those little preening postures that's a wonderful thing for us to start looking for. And so to actually have on your radar, let's start trying to catch more preening postures. And also just watching birds as they preen is such a great way of learning how all the feather tracks and how they fit together, because it will fluff out one section of feathers and then flatten those out, and then it'll fluff out the next, like pop out its scapulars and dig its beak around in those. The other thing that's really cool that you'll see during these preening behaviors is that they will take their beak and turn it around on their back and rub the side of their head or their beak right above the base of their tail. Have you seen that? They've got in that spot above the base of the tail, there is an oil gland.
Yeah.
It is conditioner for the feathers.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering why not the gray plover, but the other one, he was kind of, for a pretty long time, his tail was kind of up and he was like going at the base of it. And in my mind, I knew that it has something to do with, keeping the feathers nice and shiny. So
yeah, that's where they have their what is it? The uropygial gland, their oil gland, and so they put pressure on that, and they can excrete oil. And then they'll rub that around on their feathers. That's so cool, and also good choice. I like you. Let's see that page again. I'm going to minimize mine so we can see this. Oh, what fun. Really, really cool. And I like this. Oh, you got all those color notes in there.
Yeah, it really helps just at the moment. So I did this watercolor actually back home, but I had the colors kind of written down so I could be. Oh, and one more thing. We were snorkeling a couple of days ago, and there was this, what I think is a jellyfish. I was kind of snorkeling around, looking around, and there was this kind of like a tape, and it looked like a piece of a plastic bag to me. And I had my actually my underwater kind of sketching thing, so I jotted it down. And because it actually, when you kind of in the beginning I didn't know what it was, and I touched it and it was kind of like swimming away from me, and I was like, but it's some kind of a jellyfish, I think, and but
Oh,
not usual.
wow.
It kind of like tape, like there was this little kind of pinkish, I don't know what it is either, but pinkish something, and I actually got stung in the chin a little bit, but it's all gone
No
now.
kidding. Oh, that's
Yeah, but
amazing. I wonder if this might have been a salp. Let me,
what? Because I cannot find it. I've been searching everywhere.
all
What
right,
it
so
is?
here's this might be an area to geek out on. So there are these long chain critters, the salp. Like here's 5 facts about salps, and there's this little.
Okay.
All right, so
South.
there's they can make these crazy chains, these of critterness.
Mm-hmm.
And this person found a lot. But that might be
South.
SALP.
Yep.
I would do some SALP searching and see if that comes up with anything.
Perfect. South, because I was just searching everywhere, but we never seen one. But I have been snorkeling and diving for some time. My dad has been snorkeling and diving for even a longer time. He has never seen it also. So
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. Hey, this is really inspiring journal entries. You've seen sketchbook pages by Keith Brokey, yes?
yes, I have his books also.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, his some of the stuff you're doing with the plovers reminds me of some of the of his approach and style. I like what you're doing. Wonderful to have a chance to get into your journal there. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
That was fun. Let's. Does anybody else have cool things going on in the land of nature journaling? Ray Bonto. I see Ray Bonto and Jack. So first going to bounce over to Ray Bonto, then up to you, Jack, okay? All right. Hey there. Good to see you. Oh, that's right. Now you can unmute.
Hi. So today I was just
Getting your Junko on. Yep.
didn't get a hang of the magpie layout, but just
Great. I like your dense darks there on the magpie, and the sort of a sense of the 3/4 view on that scrub jay above them. Oh, fun. Good practice today. Good practice.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing that. Great to see you. Jack,
Good
how have
seeing
you been? I am going to bring Jack in, and hold on a second. I'm going to, now you can unmute.
Hi. So
Oh, yeah. Let me, again, minimize me, remove spotlight. Oh, right. Yes, really good, solid angles under and around those birds.
and this was
You found a bald eagle?
yeah, there's been so many bald eagles in the valley outside our house lately. Like every time I go out, I see at least one in the valley.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's cool. It's neat how you're doing like those flight poses, the wing details. And look at all the feeding postures on the geese there. This is exactly what we're talking about when kind of getting like the small drawing that captures the posture. Jack, this is really cool. And was that, are you getting your gray just by smudging your pencil
Mhm.
on
I
that?
made this, yeah, I made this really cool blender the other day.
Oh, that's great. Hold that up again, because that's that. I mean, so everybody see this tool that Jack has folded here. That allows him to get this almost watercolor-like effect on the sketches that that he does with pencil. Let's hold up those geese again. Check out the body of the geese. And then that nice gray tone behind the eagle. All right, so these have been smudged, and it allows you this really watercolor-like effect. That's really neat.
And we had some snow, not much, only a couple inches a couple days ago. It's still melting, and we put out seeds for the birds, and there's so many footprints, like more than I can even count, and like literally every inch of the snow is covered with footprints.
Wow. Oh, this is cool. This is cool.
Another bald eagle down there, 2 of them.
And it's freezing. Good for you for still being out there with your journal, getting your bird footprint on.
And then these are some squirrel footprints, I think. Maybe
Yep.
rabbit or squirrel. I don't know.
Well, I'm seeing some pretty clear toes on that, which makes me lean more towards squirrel.
I think it's squirrel too, because 2 days ago I saw a squirrel run through the yard, and I looked at its tracks, and it looked just like these.
Oh, okay, great.
So, yeah.
I mean, that's when you see the squirrel run across the yard, that's the great time to run out with your journal, because you'll now know, like, instead of like, here's a mystery track, you can say, I know that this is squirrel track. Why? Because I saw it appear behind the squirrel, right?
Yeah. And I found these. I was walking around the house, chasing my brother, and I saw these tiny little pine cones, and I just picked them up and put them in my pocket, and I did like a whole party geek out thing on them.
Oh, what a great deep dive. Hold that. Oh, yes.
I got like different sections, so like that's a little close up of the scale. That's the whole thing. Little sketch of that. This is the seed under the microscope here, actual size. And then it was crazy. Like, my theory is that this is what holds the scale to the pine cone. I was looking at a scale under my microscope, and the little, I don't know if you can see it, but the little, like, that little thing right there.
Yes.
That little white,
yes.
that little white that protrudes from the scale. I think that's what like that thing holds the scale to the pine cone itself, because that's what it looked like under the microscope. It's like a claw.
Oh, wow. Brilliant to put it under the scope. And so that might be the thing that holds it on. Oh, that's fascinating. That is fascinating.
So yeah, that was fun.
Jack, this is really I love it when you kind of do a deep dive on things like this. That's
And we were out, and I just did some. I did that.
oh fun. Yep. Oh there's my thesis bird. I did my master's thesis studying the buntings.
And some more. Oh yeah, it was really cool. I was outside a week ago, and I was watching a woodpecker up in the trees, and I'm watching him peck at the wood, and I see this little thing fall from where he's pecking, and I run and pick it up, and it's a little piece of wood that he pecked. So I put it in my journal right here.
Let's see. Oh, that's the actual one. That's
Yeah. I
so.
pasted
So
it.
this is Harry Woodpecker pecked this for me. Oh, that's neat. I wonder if there is any similarity in the scraps of, or like, are the chunks of wood that are knocked off by Harry's different size and shape than the ones that are knocked off by Pileated's, different size and shapes than the ones that are knocked off by Downey's?
Yeah, and I kind of went a little like out of it, but because there were so many different birds flying around, but I tried to do this. Like I got the idea from your book. I took a piece of string and I put it on the ground in a circle and did everything in the circle. So I counted how many little whirligig things were in there. A little close up of a blade of grass, a little clover. But then I heard some birds and saw an eagle, and then I just kind of got out of it.
Well, yeah. Well, so sometimes the when we're doing something that focuses like that, it just gets us still and quiet enough, and then all the critters start popping up all around us. And it's okay to start with one plan and then follow nature where it's going. This is great. This is so cool.
And I had a couple questions. Yeah, I got this really cool book for my for Christmas. It's by this lady called Edith Holden, and she was born in, I think, hold on a second. Yeah, she was born in 1871, and it's this old book. It has like all of her paintings, and she writes.
I love
You
this
have
book.
it.
Oh,
You have
totally.
it.
This book was such an inspiration to me. I mean, like, we could totally hang with Edith. Right?
You have it too.
Yeah, like, hold on. I'm gonna unmute Ray Bonto. Yeah. Mary Larson's got it too. So yeah, Edith she's totally got her game on. She's looking at everything that she finds. She's counting, she's measuring, she's looking at the dates that things are coming up. She would have been totally cool to go exploring with. It is so much fun to look through, what's she doing. And I'm also amazed. I don't know if I don't think she had binoculars, but she still gets really solid birds. So my guess is that she's sneaky. Yeah, I'll bet that she's really good at like being still and quiet, paying attention and focusing. Yeah, I mean, that little kingfisher, such a spectacular little drawing. And not just big flowers. She geeks out on grasses, and just a totally solid naturalist. Yeah. And, you know, she's, you know, any chance that she's getting, she's doing a deep dive, kind of like you do, right? You know, if somebody's got a stuffed bird, she's going to just, you know, go deep into that. I mean, so without, this is without photography, this is without, I think, binoculars. She's, I mean, look at this wren. Look at this wren. She's owning that wren. She's like, you go, Edith. That's so cool. Yeah, here she is, right? She'd be fun to chill with, right? She's, what is something, when you looked at this book, what was something that really inspired you?
I think, I mean, I don't know. They're all awesome. Just great book to look through, read. Yeah, like, it's like without binoculars, it's like, I mean, look, this dragonfly.
Oh yeah, hold on. I'm going to get rid of my screen. I'm going to remove my spotlight to make both you folks. But yeah, I mean, she's getting to that dragonfly wing vein by vein, and then on the same page, those, I'm guessing, the water lilies there take a totally different mindset and painting style. So those large, but you know, she really kind of carves those things. Green woodpecker, that's a cool woodpecker. We don't have that one here.
And I haven't really heard anything about it, about the infographic.
Oh, yes. So probably Ann Chadwick is wondering about that too. So she's wondering, like, so Jack, we sent you all these things. So Ann Chadwick from Point Blue Conservation Science. So the story is that it is all on my computer, and it is sitting there as a half-done project, and I need a big kick in the tail to get me to wrap that up. So I am, I'm going to add myself in here. So I'm going to ask you to hold me accountable. Project done by the end of this month. Okay, that's my goal.
You heard it here. Project
Right.
done by the end of this month.
Project done by the end of the month.
Okay. That'd be great.
And if I don't, there's going to be a consequence. The consequence is going to be that here's my consequence. I will find a cool nature journaling book in a used bookstore with examples of somebody else's stuff. And rather than put it on my shelf, Jack, I will send it to you. You get the book if I don't finish both the healthy meadow and the damaged meadow by the end of this month. Right? So can I get you to hold me to that? All right. So it's a win-win situation. If I do it in time, then we get your artwork out being used by educators in the field. And if I'm late, then we're much closer to wrapping up that project, and you get a book of inspirational, cool nature journaling stuff. Sound good?
Mm-hmm. And I had
Jack, if there's anything I can do to help you get that done, I'd be happy to do that. And you know, maybe I could send something to young Jack if you do get it done, and that way young Jack wins either way. I mean, you know.
Are you okay with that, Jack?
Sure.
All right. No, but so hold my feet to the fire on this one, because I need to. I'm easily distracted. Like squirrel. right? And but that's a project that we really should wrap up. Ray Bonto, I think it's so cool that you've also got this stuff, and they're all species that you have there, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, since I started nature journaling, I haven't picked it up for a while, but I've had it for 4 or 5 years. And before that, me and my mom used to spend most of our time looking through the poems and pictures. It
Yeah.
was really fun.
Check out on page 39 her sketches of frog eggs.
39.
I mean, that's totally the way we roll. And she's looking at sort of frog development.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that? She's cool. She's really cool.
Really?
Yeah, that's fun. All right.
It's a 1906 book, by the way.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It holds up. Thank you for sharing all those things. Are any of you going to get out today and do some nature journaling with the trash bag? And you are? Excellent. All right.
Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe. It's also pretty late there, right? It's the end of the day.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. That's right. You get an extension for all of tomorrow. Oh. Those pesky time zones, you know. That's cool. Now I'm going to bounce over to the gallery view again and see if there's anything else that somebody wanted to share. And Jan, are you there? Oh, we've got this, looks like some toned paper going on. I'm going to remove my spotlight to make you bigger. Oh, wait, hold on. I need to. You can't yet. The reason you're having trouble is nothing you're doing wrong. I need to, for some reason, I need to bring myself into here to get the little ellipsis to then ask you to. Now you can unmute.
There we go.
Perfect.
We were talking about preening, and let's see if I can figure out.
You have to get it in the shadow when it's in the shadow.
I've got a curtain I can close, I think.
Ah. Oh, there we go.
Okay, can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the standard great egret atop a pickup truck. Where we normally see them. No. This is on a coastal area, UCSC, for people who are from California. And what was interesting is it was really preening like crazy. And at first it was facing a direction that I couldn't see the details of what was going on. But then it had a wound. And so right at its, as it spread its wing later on, it was right where the wrist of the bird's wing was. And it wasn't, I've probably made it a little darker. It wasn't actively bleeding, it was dried blood, but it just kept working it and working it. I think it was mostly trying to clean others, but it was a little bit of a mystery, of course. You know, did another bird wound it? You know, I really don't know how it happened, but I haven't seen that before. And because their feathers are so incredibly white, you see something that you might not on another bird.
Yeah.
It was able to fly just fine.
Huh.
So
These neck angles, by the way, I'm just loving them.
Well, yeah, they do have quite that, I don't know what you call it, a ratchet, a whatever, but
Yeah.
anyway.
And what you've accurately placed the kinks in the neck are not just sort of random kinks. They're a specific kind of like mechanism for thrusting that neck forward, and they're really well observed in those sketches.
Yeah, thank you. And then we had another Big Basin volunteer trail crew for the burn area from the CZU fire, and it's fun to see things growing. So that's, we've got a fungi. I don't know if this is what I looked up. I don't know if that's the right name or not, but for the first time I saw a little, I think maybe a viola, it's just a little cross drape flower.
I like how you did the front view and the side view of the violet.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's great to see, a lot of black, but a lot of green coming back too.
Oh, that is, nature's finding its way.
Yeah.
We've got to help it out, but it's going to find its way. That's cool. Jen, thank you so much for sharing those.
You're welcome.
That's neat. Let me see here. I am going to bounce back over to our gallery. Is there anybody else that wanted to share something this afternoon or morning or late evening, night, depending on where on the planet you're checking in with us from? All right. Well, I'm about to turn off the recording. So in case there's somebody who wants to share but doesn't feel comfortable being recorded, you'll have an opportunity to do that. Before I do, just wanted to say to everybody, stay safe, be kind. Let's take care of each other. Let's take care of this planet together. I want to encourage you to get out there and observe in nature. I know for me, it does so much that to help me manage the stress of COVID. When I feel myself, the weight of this pandemic kind of coming down, going out and putting myself in the presence of the peace of wild things is so powerful. And then when I couple that with journaling, the journaling just invites me into a flow state of attention. You saw the way that Jack kind of went down that rabbit hole. You saw the way that Walters sort of found just levels and levels of depth looking at the feathers of the plovers. And that's what I want to invite everybody here to do, is to find a rabbit hole and free fall. Just find some little, and the way these things present it to us is not like, da-da, right? No, it's subtle. And then you look behind the subtle, and there's even more subtle behind the subtle, behind the subtle, behind the subtle. And you realize like there's this, you can go so deep with geeking out with whatever it is. So I want to invite everybody here to fall into that space. And it is so powerful. It is so beautiful to be able to do that. And I think you'll find that you come out of that experience just with a new calm, right? You, if you get into a flow state in a rabbit hole, you're going to totally lose track of time. But that will be a time that you are deeply alive. Thank you all for being here.